Well, it's really nice of you to come and interview me all this way from. Where have you come from?
Well, all the way from England.
Oh right, yeah. Where's England then?
Well, it's you know that bit of water that sits off Calais. Well, if you got into a boat and rowed, you'd actually end up in England after about 20 miles. That's where England is.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, Ing is to do with jumping around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody there's very jumpy and jumping around. Inging.
Yeah, people do jump around a lot, and
Yeah,
in the
a bit
old
jumpy, aren't they?
Yeah, a bit.
And they're about to jump ship, I hear.
Well, a
Why
bit
are
sort
they
of punk.
jumping
Well, a
ship?
bit sort of punk-like. They're a bit sort of punk-like. Yeah,
Right,
they don't quite know what they're doing. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so
I
so
know the feeling. Yeah.
So you've got a bit of a problem, have you? You don't quite understand what's going on.
No, I don't understand at all. I mean, I used to. I've been to that place, the jumping around place, and I found everybody there was far too serious. It rains so much, and they're all really grumpy, and I call it Grumpland, and they've lost their sense of humour and just no sense of joie de vivre. You see. So I'm very puzzled about this.
So what makes you think that? So you've been to Grumpland. So what gives you the impression that the people from my own country, jump around a bit, and why do you think they're so?
Well,
grumpy?
for one thing, it's the parking warden, the warden people. We park there, right, and then within about 3 minutes you've got a ticket. There's no laxity. There's no space for being human anymore. And also, I like playing music and guitars and things. If you go down the pub now, get the guitar out, have a sing, you get arrested by the police. They come and say you've got no license. It's the whole thing's clamped down. I mean, I'm surprised they're not taxing jokes. They'll be taxing jokes soon.
Well, they may well do. I don't know. I don't know what their plans are actually. Whether they're going to tax jokes or not, they might do.
I expect so.
But I'm really here to ask you about the future, where you think the UK is going, because we've had this final decision that we made in June 2016, and I'd just like your take on how you feel about it. How do you think it's going? I mean, you've been to England, you've seen a bit of England. So
Sure.
how do you? I mean, you're a bit confused about things generally. So how do you think it's going to go in the future?
Well, I mean, I haven't got a clue. I mean, I don't know. Let me ask the cat, because this cat knows a lot of stuff, right? And when its eyes light up like that, you see, then whatever thought you're thinking at that time, that's the one to go with. It's called spontaneity cat. And basically, what that cat's telling me is, basically the country's totally screwed, because England has lost its way totally, and it's forgotten its gods, right? You probably don't know this, but the god of England is Ing.
It's Ing.
Actually, Ing. Yeah, Ing is the real god.
So tell me about Ing then.
Okay, Ing is another name for Frey, who's the god of love and joy, and it's Friday night, Freya's night. Frey and Freya were like the god of love,
right?
And goddess of love.
Yeah.
And my experience, my understanding is that the English people have lost the capacity for love and for jollity and joy and all that. Whereas in France here, we've kept that love of life going. And so this is my first observation I'd like to make.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
love's very important to me.
So yes,
Being in France, you see.
I can understand.
There's
that.
so many beautiful girls you just swoon when you see them passing. Look, there's one there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think with your good-looking
my long hair
and everything,
yeah.
I think love and that goes well together.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could be a hippie from the 70s, or you could.
Well, don't tell everyone, or they'll come and arrest me. It's like
but,
a bit of a throwback here.
Or you could be, or somebody from 2017 who sort of has a sort of throwback to the old times. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Sure.
So tell me, so this god of love, which you think sort of disappeared from England, do you have any idea why that might be, I'm sure
I can tell you the absolute straightforward.
Tell me
the wrong
why
side won the English Civil War. We had this war called the English Civil War, right?
Right. Okay.
And the really grumpy Puritan types lost. They won it.
They won it.
Yeah,
yes.
they won it, and they cut all their hair short. They used to sing pious hymns, and they were so mean. They only had one god. I mean, can you get that concept? I mean, they only had one god.
Only one. Well,
yeah.
Well, that
normal people have millions of gods.
Well,
Hindus, they have millions.
That was the last god available, was it then?
I don't know what happened, but there was a god shortage going on. So they only had one god.
You only had one god.
Yeah, so they were really grumpy on the battlefield. They used to sing hymns saying, "We're going to win in the name of our god," right?
Yes.
Whereas the royalists, which was my lot, you
Yes.
see, we were happy, nice people, cavalier types. Everyone had long hair. And we used to like have parties after, we didn't want battles at all.
No, okay.
So these dour Puritan times.
So we're talking about 17th century.
Yeah, and then they abolished Christmas. So basically, can you believe it?
They
abolished Christmas.
Hang on.
Father Santa Claus was abolished.
When was that then?
Well, that was under these Puritan people who only had
they
the one God.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
they got rid of it.
Well, I'm afraid I wasn't around at that time.
Well, you probably were. We all believe in life after life, and we were all.
Well, it may be my third coming.
Have you ever had past life regression?
Well, it would be nice to have that. I mean, I'll tell you a tiny story that Ken Dodd. Have you ever heard of Ken Dodd?
I believe so. He had a tickling stick. Yeah,
he had a tickling stick. Well, he said,
he was a comedian.
Just to lighten the mood a little bit. Sure. I don't want to get too serious tonight about our talk. Basically, he said that when he was asked about the afterlife, he thought that perhaps it wasn't that interesting to come back as a bottle of milk.
No, I think that would be a bit boring. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do that. No. Mind you, there is something to be said for it because you'd be like giving people nutrition and, that's quite good. I'll tell you what.
But a pint's a bit limited. But a pint is a bit limited, isn't it?
I'd much rather come back as a breast full of milk. Right, that'd be much more exciting. That's much more like the French ways.
Well, yes.
Because that's the goddess of love, giving generously. You see. Okay. Did you know this entire Milky Way that we're part of, the galaxy, is just a spurt of milk from the goddess's breast? Did you know that? They don't teach that in English schools, do they?
I didn't get that tuition.
They've totally dumbed people down in England.
Well, no. Well, I could have been tested on that from my O levels at the time.
They didn't teach you.
No, they didn't teach me that.
You see, I'm
lacking. I'm clearly lacking.
Well, you're typical English, aren't you?
Well, I am. You're quite right. I am.
No wonder you're so gloomy, and the only thing you do is leave.
I feel miserable. I do feel miserable, but I feel miserable in my own way because of what happened. I don't feel that happy about it.
Did you cry about it at all?
Well, I had various thoughts about it, not nasty thoughts, but I mean, I just was unhappy, and I thought that fundamentally we'd gone the wrong way, but I couldn't understand why it happened, and maybe you can understand better than I can. You say that love sort of disappeared from the UK.
Well, it was abolished in the English Civil War. See, the good guys lost, and they all fled to France. They set up courts in exile in France. Right. King Charles.
Yeah.
And you know what they did? They actually cut the head off the King of England, right?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Because he loved art. He was married to a French woman. Right? Get that? I mean, he was married to Henrietta Marie. Who was a beautiful French woman. Yes. She was actually the daughter of the greatest king France ever had, Henry IV. So like grumpy English people have been grumpy for a very long time. And whatever they do, they want to wreck things. So what they did is they went into all the cathedrals, which were made with beautiful stonework and sculptures and paintings. They smashed the heads off all the cathedrals.
Yes.
Burned the pictures.
Yes.
Trashed all the libraries. And generally were just against things, right? Against stuff, against knowledge, against beauty, against women, And so I see this. I mean, this is why I'm a bit confused now and upset because I see the kind of Brexit narrative is the continuation of this long story of grumpiness.
Well, if it's what would it be?
400
years old, effectively, that love disappeared from the UK. So
it lives on in
do you mind if I call you Renard? Because I want to call you a name. Is it
Renard's fine. Do you think Renard the Fox?
Renard is fine. Renard,
certainly foxy.
I think foxy. Yeah. So okay, Renard.
Yeah.
So you think love fell away in 1642, whatever it was?
Yeah, it fled to France.
It fled to France.
And some went up to Scotland. That's the only hope I see in this whole picture. Scotland still remembers what love is.
What love
in
is.
Pockets.
Yes. Yeah. So fundamentally, you believe
Montrose and all that. Secret White Rose.
So you're saying love disappeared in 1642 or thereabouts, 1645 or something like that, and it's been lacking in the UK since.
Yeah, you see, if you're against stuff, you can't love. Love is saying yes to life.
Yes.
Right, there you go. Yes. See, yes, right. Now, saying no to life is being against stuff.
Yeah.
And my experience of living in England is, I'll give you the classic example. You come to a town. You're driving, a car, and you come to a car park, and there's a big sign saying, no camping, no smoking, no playing music, no dancing. There's a list of 10 things you can't do in every kind of town in England. So we're living under this blanket of no-ness.
Well, we are, not you are. We are. Renard, you don't live in the UK.
No, I've done a runner. I've got out.
Yes, and you changed your name to Renard. Well, that's very sensible, wasn't it? Yeah. Because you want to have a French name.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's very sensible, yeah.
I know. I mean, I think it's very weird. Now the joke is that in Europe here, my experience is people are pretty laid back. They've remained with the wisdom of yes. They know why it's important to say yes to life. You see,
I think I can relate to that because latterly I've had various experiences where I've felt that I was told, no, you can't do that. No.
Well, even on the phone, I mean, I've heard you talking to all kinds of people on the phone. They all say no.
Yes. The first answer is always bloody no.
Yeah,
and
no.
So it's always various reasons why they cannot do something.
Absolutely.
As opposed to trying to be helpful and
trying to
say yes. Actually, how can we help you?
Yeah, you don't hear that often
No,
in England.
you don't.
No, I think that's why there's this great sorrow come over the land.
Mm.
And my friend King Arthur, Pendragon, he's trying to bring back the yes. Like, yes, you can park at Stonehenge for free. Yes, you can go there for your rituals. Yes, you can go to the sacred groves. Yes, you can go and play guitars spontaneously, whatever. We've got to say yes to life, yes to music, yes to love, and yes to beauty, yes to art. The thing I love about France is it says yes to art.
Yes, I know. Well, I would have to agree with you because if you look at central London at the moment, the Lloyd's building is fairly amazing, but how many buildings, modern buildings, now are a reflection of,
beauty.
Beauty. And I've been to Berlin recently. And I can tell you the civic buildings in Berlin are beautiful. And whoever said that modern buildings cannot be beautiful is talking absolute nonsense.
Sure.
And basically you can have beautiful modern buildings, and that the UK lacks imagination. It lacks
aesthetics.
Aesthetics. Yes, but also it's always, in my view, it's a question of pounds, shillings, and pence. In other words, that basically our architects are dictated by money, and if somebody comes out with some fantastic building, it will get turned down simply because it's going to cost too much money.
Sure.
So it's a very it comes at the same point right now. It's all about negative feel.
Yeah. So
you cannot do. Okay.
I've got a begging bowl.
Are you going to give me some money? Are you?
No. I just want to explain something.
Why aren't you going
to
give
you
me
can
some
have
money?
that anyway. You can spend it back in England, right?
What? 10p?
Yeah.
Well, that won't be buying me very much, will it?
Okay, so let me just explain something about money here, right?
No, okay, money. What about it? Yeah.
You see, by saying everything is dependent on money, there's a bit of a truth there, because money is an old Latin word for the goddess Juno,
Right.
the Queen of Heaven.
Yeah, you're way ahead of me on this, Renan.
Yeah, no, I'm just giving you a bit of a history.
You'll have to be gentle.
You see
with
that?
me.
There's
speak slowly. So
sure. There's the Prince of Wales thing.
What's
Ich
that?
dien. Right, the
Yes.
Prince of Wales thing. It means I serve. Okay, that's the symbol of the Prince of Wales.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, got it. Yeah.
Money is actually quite beautiful. There's a lion on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
And ever since the Greeks invented it in Lydia, it's a beautiful thing. Money. I've got a whole collection of the stuff.
Yes.
And
serve at home. Yeah.
and so the point here is that it all stands for Juno Manitas, who's the goddess who warns. Now, what I'd like to say to my friends back in England is I'm warning them that if they don't get with the goddess operation, you see, and remember to say yes to life, then they're going to go down the plug hole of no's. You see, the no people. It's tragic. I don't want to do a tragedy act.
No, don't do that. But
we want to do a love act.
Can you try to? I'm a Brit, okay. You've escaped and you now call yourself Renan. So you may understand better than I do because you're now outside it as to why you might think, the Brexit people voted. Why do you think, Renan, they voted no? What do you think was behind it?
Because they voted no to Europe because they've been trying to say no to lots of other things.
Like what?
It's a whole big no package. No to experts, no to artists, no to bureaucracy, no to government, no to politics, no to religion, no to Christianity. It's a sort of final punk victory. Just no to everything, no to life. It's a subtle form of self-harm, actually.
Yeah, okay. So
if I want to self-destruct as a nation, I just say no to everything.
Yes.
And the best art form I can come up with is a kind of punk,
yes.
which I put razor blades in my ears and I
yes.
self-harm.
So,
this is the greatest cultural achievement of British,
yes.
Youth for a long time.
Right, yes.
Is self-harm, and this is the ultimate victory of self-harming punk. So speaking as an old hippie, I'm saying that's going down the wrong road. We've got to get back with the love and peace agenda.
Yes.
You know, there are, and that unfortunately was snuffed out when the Royalists went down.
All that time ago, you say. Okay, so you've given me the reasons why all these people effectively why they voted Brexit, and
it's just we don't like Europe. We hate it.
So it's a negative approach to many things. So do you think you can tell me, let's say, two things that these people might have been positive about, but around the Brexit vote? Do you think there's anything that they liked?
Yeah, thank you for asking. That's a really good question. Can I just shake your hand? That's an amazing question.
Yeah, all right, Renard.
We have to be positive in life,
yes.
and I actually admire some of my best friends voted for Brexit. You know,
yes.
some really amazing people, and the aggregate achievement of it was a collective no and a groan and a destruction.
Well, it was only 51.
But they thought they were doing something good. You see, I don't think there's anything wrong in loving your country.
No.
A lot of people voted for Brexit because they wanted to be patriotic. They love Britain or they love England or whatever. And they thought there's this scary thing called the EU that's going to strangle them and
swallow them up, yes.
Yeah. And whereas what I think is that the biggest form of yes is to say yes to everything, everywhere. You know, it's what they call unconditional yesness or unconditional love.
Yes,
so I can love my country,
yes,
whatever that is. I'm confused. I'm not sure if I'm Scottish or Welsh or British or English or French or... Actually, I'm Canadian in law. I've got a Canadian passport, so I'm actually Canadian.
I thought you said you came from hippie land.
Well, I come from the Kingdom of Love. Yeah. I'm actually a secret agent.
Happy Land, perhaps. Happy Land.
Yeah, I've been there too.
Or Hippie Land. Hippie Happy Land?
Yeah, no. I'm a secret agent for the Kingdom of God, actually. Yes. That's my real identity. But I don't want to give that away to everybody.
No, don't tell them. No.
But so if we affirm the patriotism of loving our country and loving all the other countries, this is the solution to racism. You know,
yes.
I can love my race.
Yes.
I love whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I can also love everyone else's race, you know.
Okay.
I love the Arabs, I love the Israelis, I love the Chinese, I love the Africans, I love, you know,
so
all the different varieties.
So would you say, Renard, that when you meet people, whoever they are, that you like to see the goodness in them and to see positive things in their nature and in the way that they behave? Would you say that was sort of the thing that you would look for, Renard, when you met a new person, if they be from, you know, Somalia or Sri Lanka,
even Poland,
even Poland.
I actually find the Poles amazingly nice people. I can't actually find anything bad about them. You know, I love the Poles and what they've done for Scotland, where I was living, brought in life and breathed life into the community.
Well, do you know?
I love them all.
Yeah. Do you know what Nietzsche said about the Poles?
No, Nietzsche, tell me. Nietzsche. I love him. Yeah.
Friedrich Nietzsche said, and he died in 1900, he said that the reason why Germany is so successful is because there are many Germans who are full of Polish blood.
Right. That's a very wise thing he said. Yes.
So basically the Poles actually are a very dynamic nation, and my neighbours are Poles, and both them are very dynamic people, and they're very good people, and I've got on with them really well.
Yeah, no, I love that. So look, I ought to make a confession here. Right? This little script. So this appoints me as a philosopher, right?
You're a philosopher.
My philosopher badge. Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
Sorry about that. I should have told you earlier, right? Well, now, I'm also a philosopher, which is somebody that says yes to life and dances.
I'm here interviewing you, and you didn't even tell me you were a philosopher.
No, but you're quoting Nietzsche, so now I've got to. I've come
out all right. That's a fair response.
Okay,
yes.
So you quote Nietzsche, so I'm going to tell you something.
Okay. You tell
as a philosopher, this is my badge.
Yeah.
There was a very famous Polish philosopher called Trzaskowski.
Right.
Now he was part of a tradition in Polish thought, which was called Polish Messianism.
Right. Okay.
Right. Now the Poles, Trzaskowski and these romantic Poles of the 19th century, they said that Poland is like the dismembered nation in Europe because Russia had a bit, Germany had a bit, Austria had a bit. There wasn't a Poland anymore.
No.
Napoleon tried to bring it back and he was defeated. Napoleon was an interesting man, by the way. We'll come back to him later.
Yeah.
And so it had gone off the map. No Poland. And these philosophers said it was like the suffering servant. It was the Christ consciousness of Europe. Poland.
Yes.
And that when it came back, finally, if it ever came back properly, then Europe itself will be liberated from oppression, all oppression.
Right. Okay.
Right. So, I mean, actually, it was Poles that introduced Marx and Engels, thinking they would make some useful contribution, but actually, they ended up, you know, buttressing up the sort of oppressive systems and things.
Yeah,
So it didn't
yeah.
quite do the messianic thing.
No.
Close to it, the communist thing, close
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
So the project still goes on, and it seems to me the European Union, of which Poland is a part, and France and all the others, lots of Poles took refuge here. They came to see George Sand, who lives up the road there.
Were you
Great
saying
writer.
that today?
Well, no, she's dead, but her spirit hovers.
Oh.
And she loved Chopin, who lived up the road, you see,
Oh, as I said,
playing the music.
Where is it? Well, it isn't Chopin. It's Chopin.
Is that the pronunciation?
Because he was Polish. Yes.
Right.
Polish in origin. Yes.
Yeah, is that why it's called Chopsticks? Do you think there's a connection here?
Well,
Or did he play more?
Renard, that might be a step too far, but you might be right. Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, here we have Poles making beautiful music, Chopin.
Yes. Yeah.
Trying to make music out of the European Union. Somebody told me the European Youth Orchestra is leaving Oxford. Is that? Can you tell me about that?
I can. Yes.
That's not very funny, is
well,
it? That's tragic.
the reason for that
Bloody hell.
is that that in order to maintain the current status of the orchestra, clearly, if Brexit happens, it will mean that it will be very awkward to continue to have, say, a Slovak violinist come, or may not be allowed to come into the UK to be part of the European Youth Orchestra. So unfortunately, I suspect that the Youth Orchestra, you know, the hierarchy that run it, the management, are reluctant to say, well, we have no option. We have no option but to move to Belgium because we can't function. We could not function as we function now with UK in the EU. Unless we were within the remaining 27 countries, so they've been forced to move to.
I think it'd be really sad.
It would be incredibly sad.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm talking.
Be a bit of a joke, though.
Well, I'm talking. Okay, as a Brit who is unhappy with Brexit, but obviously the many things affected that will be affected by Brexit. But I would be concerned about the cultural aspects because I love art, I love music. And I would not want the overall European cultural aspect to be eroded in some way.
Yeah, but who needs art? I mean, let's just put the counter argument from.
Well, I tell you a story about art, okay, and I don't have to talk about it long. Winston Churchill, during the Second World War, or was it the first? It doesn't matter which World War. He was approached by some bureaucrats and said, "Look, Winston, we've got to reduce the arts budget." Because we need the money to spend on arms. And Winston Churchill's retort was very simple. He said, hang on a sec, the arts, music, etc., that's what makes us the people that we are. No, I won't agree to reduce it. So that is a very simple example of how he then, in 1942, whenever it was, said, I won't reduce the arts budget because that's what we are.
I think that's brilliant.
That's how we were made.
So my cat's going to come out, and then I think we'll do a musical interlude.
Okay, fine.
I'm going to play a song, right? Okay, there we are. That's the cat.
You're going to sing for us, Renard?
Yeah, I'm going to sing.
1979 Woodstock. You're going to do a Woodstock song?
I'll go and sing now.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank